In the shadows where truth and tales intertwine, we find the thrilling, the chilling, the downright spine-tingling. From the paranormal to the peculiar, every echo has a story. Dare to delve into the unexpected, the unexplained? Brace yourself, for you're about to embark on a journey where fear meets fascination. Stay tuned if you dare, for stories that will make your heart race and your mind ponder. Welcome to the realm of the eerie, the realm of the unknown. And remember, like and subscribe, if you dare.
The woods beckoned, a symphony of verdant hues painted across the twilight sky. Foolishly, she thought a shortcut through the woods would save time. Now, as darkness descended, she realized the gravity of her error. The path, once clear, was gone, swallowed by the encroaching shadows. The air, once warm and inviting, turned cold, sending shivers down her spine. A shiver that had nothing to do with the temperature. It was the chilling realization that she was utterly alone, engulfed by the woods with no one to hear her screams. She pressed on, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. Regret washed over her in bitter waves. Why had she not listened to the warnings? The woods, they said, held secrets best left undisturbed. Now, enveloped in the growing darkness, she was about to become part of those secrets, a sacrifice to the unseen forces lurking just beyond the reach of the fading light. Twilight deepened, the last vestiges of daylight fading like dying embers. The trees, once majestic, transformed into menacing silhouettes against the darkening sky. Their branches, gnarled and twisted, seemed to reach out towards her like skeletal fingers. The forest floor, once dappled with sunlight, became a treacherous maze of roots and shadows. Each step was fraught with uncertainty, the ground soft and yielding beneath her feet. The scent of damp earth and decaying leaves filled her nostrils, a cloying, earthy perfume. She stumbled on, her heart a drum in her chest. The silence of the woods was almost as unsettling as the noises that occasionally broke it. The rustle of leaves, the snap of a twig, each sound sent a jolt of fear through her. The woods had teeth, she realized, sharp, unseen teeth that could rend and tear, and she, a lone, foolish trespasser, was caught in its hungry maw. As darkness tightened its grip, the forest came alive with a symphony of unsettling sounds. The rustling of leaves whispered secrets she couldn't understand. The wind moaned through the trees, a mournful, haunting melody. The shadows themselves seemed to writhe and dance, taking on grotesque shapes that flickered at the edge of her vision. Were they real, or figments of her imagination? Fear played tricks on the mind, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. She dared not slow down, driven by a primal instinct to escape the growing darkness. Every fiber of her being screamed at her to run, to flee the unseen menace that lurked in the shadows. But where could she run? The woods stretched out before her, a labyrinth with no visible exit. As she plunged deeper into the heart of the forest, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, observed by something unseen, something cold and calculating. A twig snapped behind her and she whirled around, her breath catching in her throat. But there was nothing there, just the endless rows of trees, their branches intertwined like grasping claws. Had it been her imagination? Or was something stalking her, moving silently through the undergrowth? She risked a glance over her shoulder. The shadows seemed to deepen, coalescing into a darker shape that moved with an unnatural fluidity. Her heart pounded against her ribs, a frantic tattoo of fear. She quickened her pace, her eyes darting from side to side, searching for any sign of her pursuer. But the forest held its secrets close, the shadows providing ample cover for anything that might be hunting her. The feeling of being watched intensified, sending chills down her spine. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath, watching her every move, waiting. Panic welled up inside her, threatening to overwhelm her. She broke into a run, her lungs burning, her legs screaming for respite. But she didn't dare slow down, not with that unseen presence dogging her heels. The forest floor was a treacherous obstacle course, littered with roots and fallen branches. She stumbled and fell, scraping her hands on the rough bark. But she couldn't stop, not now. To stop would be to surrender to the darkness. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of damp earth and something else. Something musky and feral. Fear lent wings to her feet, propelling her forward with a strength she didn't know she possessed. She could hear it now, the sound of her pursuer. A low growl, deep and guttural, that seemed to vibrate in her very bones. It was close, too close. A flash of movement to her left, a blur of darkness against the inky backdrop of the forest. She caught a glimpse of it then, a fleeting impression of something large and shadowy, its eyes glowing with an eerie, malevolent light. Terror lent her a burst of speed, and she surged forward, her lungs screaming for air. She didn't dare look back, didn't want to know what manner of creature was hunting her through the darkness. The growl grew louder, closer, and she could hear the sound of its heavy breathing, ragged and uneven. It was gaining on her, its presence a palpable weight of dread pressing down on her. She could feel its hot, fetid breath on the back of her neck, and she knew that she was running out of time. The woods echoed with the sound of her own panicked gasps for air, a symphony of terror. Through the trees she saw a glimmer of light, a beacon of hope in the suffocating darkness. With a surge of adrenaline she veered towards it, her legs burning, her chest on fire. The light grew brighter, resolving itself into the outline of a cabin, its windows glowing with a warm, inviting light. Salvation was within reach, but could she reach it in time? The growl erupted behind her, closer than ever, and she risked a glance over her shoulder. The creature was almost upon her, its eyes burning with a terrifying intensity. It was a monstrous thing, all teeth and claws and glowing eyes. She stumbled, her ankle twisting beneath her. Pain shot up her leg, but she couldn't stop, not now. She scrambled to her feet, her breath coming in ragged gasps, and lurched forward, her eyes fixed on the cabin. With a final desperate lunge, she reached the cabin door and threw herself against it. The wood groaned under the impact, but it held. She fumbled for the latch, her fingers trembling, and finally managed to get the door open. She stumbled inside, slamming the door shut behind her and bolting it. She leaned against the rough wood, her chest heaving, her heart pounding against her ribs. She was safe, for now. The cabin was small and sparsely furnished, but it was a haven, a refuge from the horrors that lurked outside. A fire crackled in the hearth, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. She sank to the floor, her back against the wall, and allowed herself a moment of respite. But the silence was short-lived. A low growl sounded from the other side of the door, sending a fresh wave of terror coursing through her. The creature was still out there, waiting. She pushed herself to her feet and surveyed her surroundings. The cabin was small, just a single room, with a rough-hewn table and chairs in the center. A fireplace dominated one wall, its flames casting a flickering light on the worn furniture. Above the fireplace she noticed a shelf with a few dusty books and a lantern. She grabbed the lantern and lit it, the warm glow pushing back the shadows that seemed to press in from every corner. The cabin felt less oppressive with the added light. She moved to the windows, peering out into the darkness. The forest was a wall of impenetrable blackness, the trees like silent sentinels guarding the cabin. She couldn't see the creature, but she could sense its presence, lurking just beyond the circle of light cast by the lantern. She was trapped, at least for the night. She had found a temporary sanctuary, but she knew that she wouldn't be truly safe until the sun rose and banished the shadows. As the night wore on, she huddled by the fireplace, the lantern casting dancing shadows on the walls. The silence was broken only by the crackling of the fire and the beating of her own heart. Sleep was impossible, not with the memory of the creature's glowing eyes still fresh in her mind. She listened intently for any sound from outside, but the forest was silent, holding its breath. The creature was still out there, she knew, waiting for her to make a mistake, to let her guard down. As the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness, she felt a surge of relief. She had survived the night. The creature, whatever it was, had vanished with the shadows. She cautiously approached the door and unbolted it, her hand trembling. Sunlight streamed in, banishing the last vestiges of her fear. She stepped outside, taking a deep breath of the fresh morning air. The forest seemed different in the daylight, almost peaceful. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, their leaves rustling like whispers of forgotten secrets. But as she turned to leave, she noticed something etched into the trunk of a nearby tree. It was a single, crudely drawn symbol, a circle with a dot in the center, the symbol of the creature's presence, and beneath it, scrawled in what looked like blood, a single chilling word, mine. The forest held its breath, watching her, waiting.
And so, our tale of the campfire horrors comes to an end. Until next time, sleep tight. Before we part ways, dear viewers, remember to stay vigilant. The campfire horrors may have been extinguished for now, but the embers of the unknown always remain. As you lay down to sleep tonight, don't forget the lessons from our tale. Safety is but a fleeting moment in a world of unseen. So if you've enjoyed this journey into the abyss, don't forget to ring that bell and smash that like button. Do it before the thing under your bed decides to pay you a visit. Oh, and keep those night lights on. You never know what might be lurking in the dark. Thank you for embarking on this terrifying adventure with us. Until our paths cross again in another tale of the unknown. Goodbye and sweet dreams, if you can.